All right. So what got you into film in the first place?
I don't know. Eventually, like when I was in high school, I just started like watching all these like cool movies by like Quentin Tarantino and Paul
Okay.
Thomas Anderson.
Okay.
And or wait, no, it was actually Breaking Bad. That show, but that was like the show that I watched that when I was like 13 or 14, and that's like what definitely like got me into like film and stuff because that show like blew me away. I've never seen that before. Um, and then, but it wasn't a thing of like oh I'm constantly out with my friends like making films in high school or whatever. I only did that for like a class project. Um, and then it was I didn't start getting heavily into film until I met Casey.
Yeah.
Because that's because he was the guy who like knew everybody.
Yeah.
He knew you. He knew
Yeah.
just and I just decided to take advantage of that, and we've just been helping each other out.
Like, I think my interest in film kind of started around like the middle school era of me because like I think it was like something to do with like some sort of like project or something. And I thought like, let me just like instead of doing like a write up, why not just do like a video project on it? So I did, and ever since then, just kind of like sparked my interest in like filmmaking.
I didn't always want to do film. So I was choosing majors and looking through everything, and I kind of just was like, I can't see myself doing any of this. Marketing, finance, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to do something business related, but figured I'm a creative person, at least I'd like to think that way. And I love doing stuff. I love creating content. I love working with people to create content. So I thought that film would be the best way to go to, pursue that passion of mine.
Do you have any influences that really like, artists that catch your eye that is reflected in your work?
John Cassavetes, he's the guy that really inspires me to be a filmmaker because he's all about just one. He was like the first independent filmmaker. Like he was the guy in like the late 50s who thought of. He was like the first guy who did this to like get a bunch of his acting friends together and just film with his with just this cheap 16mm film stock. And but he was like very fearless in the way that he wasn't afraid of what anyone thought of him or how crazy he would have thought. He was all about showing like real emotion in his films, like stuff like the little emotions, like the stuff that don't like get shown in like big budget movies. And that's definitely an inspiration to me.
That's the weird thing about me. I'm a film major that doesn't really watch an abundance of films, I feel like. And I mean, of course, there's some creators that, you gotta like the cliche Quentin Tarantino, like there's big name directors that, I'll take inspiration from, I feel like, or just like, like their movies. But in terms of creating my work, I don't think that there's I don't look for a particular director and like frame my work around that. I try to create what I like, when I go through life. I try to create what I see.
Okay.
And I try to make something new out of it. Of course, there's inspirations. I like doing comedy. I like Larry David. He's one of my favorite comics and creators. But yeah, I try to do what I can do and make it as original as I can.
I think the inspirations for like film, I would say is like the Star Wars movies. I think I was watching like Revenge of the Sith like just on the TV. I think it was like HBO or something when they were still having it. So I was watching. I was like kind of amazed with like the special effects dude just to like make the world feel realistic to me, and just I'm surprised like how like at that time it looked so realistic. So I think another thing that kind of sparked my interest in filmmaking is like it's just the world that George Lucas kind of created and how like he could create like this franchise of like movies and TV shows that could really spark one's imagination to enter a world film to tell stories and make them.
What are some of your like favorite things that you've worked on? Okay, so what did you major in community college?
I was mass media productions because we didn't have film.
Yeah, so there's a big difference between like I want to know like that leap from media productions to a film major. It's a totally different school. How that transition has been.
Right. Yeah. So it wasn't because the thing with that is that like there were some general classes with mass media, like you had to do some news stuff, like live broadcast type stuff. But it got to a certain point where you could branch off into narrative film. So that's what I did. And I really enjoyed it. We had great professors there, a great institution. It really prepared me for Temple, and I didn't feel intimidated coming up here. Feeling like, because going into community college, I felt very intimidated. I felt I was a complete novice to filmmaking. And like I said, it was a last minute decision. But they really made me comfortable. They really, got me, I won't say expertise, but I learned, I was proficient in a lot of skills at the end of my community college experience. And coming up here, I'd just like to advance those skills, I guess. And I'm curious to see where film takes me because like I said, this is my first time actually doing like actually being focused in film. So I don't know much and even this semester I didn't really take that many film oriented classes besides like analysis. But I'm really interested to see the production that comes out of here because I know a lot of great creators that come from Temple, a lot of my friends too. So I'm curious to see where that takes me.
So you're not a film major. I just want to know how really like your education through your self-teaching, how that process.
Well, I mean, it was just, yeah, I mean, honestly, just with the way technology is going and you don't have to film on film stock anymore, which is expensive as hell. You can just literally just use one of these, a smartphone, and just make a movie in 2 seconds. And it's so available now, and that's good. That's what it's. I think it's much better of a world because of that. And I mean, that's the way to make. I mean, ultimately, that's the ultimate film school, right? Is to just make a film. At least I think, because there's a lot of. I mean, I understand why someone would want to go to film school. The main reason you want to go to film school is because of just the community. You find all these people who are interested in the same things as you, and hopefully, if you're not too egotistical, you'll help each other out. Even though you may not agree with this other kid's film, you'll help them out because that's what a real film community does. I guess almost kind of like a socialist or something to do that. But that's the way. I mean, that's definitely my attitude on just make a film. That's your film school. But you don't have to go to film school, especially if you're light on money.
So you've been in Temple all 4 years. So how's your development from freshman year learning to now your senior learning? That just say you're just at the development. How do you feel? How much you've learned? How much you've grown?
I would say ever since freshman year until now, I think there's a lot of things I've learned from Temple, whereas learn how to produce projects, get location, scouting and the permits, editing softwares and different techniques, camera work, and just anything in the film, anything about film related subject that you would probably never learn from just reading a book or just watching videos online on YouTube. Now, a lot of people say you don't need to go to film school because you can just basically learn on your own. I mean, I can understand from where you're getting the argument is there are some famous film directors that never went to film school and they made very excellent projects like Spielberg, for example. But I think that the advantage that you go to a film school is that you kind of get the open resources that you have in a film school. So we're talking about professors that you could just talk to and they can give you advice on like how to improve yourself as a filmmaker. Classmates that are like has similar interests as you could like share feedback with one another and like teach each other something new. And you have access to all the equipment that you could just get your hands on and understand like if you want to invest yourself in that type of equipment.